The Secrets of Technology is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give. You're listening to The Secrets of Technology. Hi, I'm Dom Bettinelli, and you're listening to The Secrets of Technology, where we discuss the technology news that's important to you from a uniquely Catholic point of view. And joining me today on the panel are Joanne Mercier. Hey, Joanne.
Happy Apple Day, Dom.
Happy Apple Day. It's the most wonderful time of the year. And Father Cory Sticha.
Happy National Beer Lovers Day, Dom.
Oh, it's even better. Yes. I can drink beer while I order my new stuff.
There you go.
All right, before we get into this craziness, I want to tell you all about another show on the StarQuest Network you are sure to enjoy called The Secrets of Middle-earth. Yes, it's a brand new show discussing all things Tolkien, including the new Rings of Power series. You can find that wherever fine podcasts are found or at sqpn.com/Middle-earth. So let's talk about it. Apple had its big announcements today, its annual fall phone announcements, and they announced a new watch, a new AirPods, and new phones. No surprises there. Those were all pretty much expected. And in fact, that's pretty much what we always get from them in September events. So let's dive right into it because there's a lot to cover here. There's some interesting things, some things that we're expecting, some not. So let's start with the watch. That's how they started, so we can start with that. And they announced the new Apple Watch Series 8. It had some interesting new features. Well, they started with, I don't know if you guys got a chance to see the whole presentation, but they started with a video of these testimonials of people like who've survived because of the Apple Watch. And I was kind of astounded by how elaborate and expensive these were. Like they had like recreations of a plane crash, and that sort of thing. What'd you think of this, Joanne?
The Apple Watch, I think, is like probably the most, and I know I'm going with all those adjectives. Just the most interesting device that they've created that allows you to feel secure.
Right.
When I have my Apple Watch on, I feel secure no matter where I am. As a woman, I'm out in the world. I drive a lot. To know that I have this thing on my wrist that if something happens to me, I can either hit it or it will call itself and let people know, including my husband, that something is wrong. Just it makes me feel so much better about, going out and doing things and not being like, agoraphobic.
It's fascinating to me that this is what the Apple Watch has become. They've really positioned it as a health and safety device. So it monitors your health. And there was a whole bunch about people who, survived heart attacks, like symptomless heart events, cardiac events that had no outward symptoms that their watch alerted them to, or people who survived car accidents, plane crashes, a bear in their house when one of the
that's a good one.
That was kind of funny. So in that vein, they've added a couple new features. Not a lot new things in the Apple Watch this year. In the regular Apple Watch, we'll talk about the other one in a minute. But there's a temperature sensor now, a body temperature sensor, and they really positioned this for women for cycle tracking. And what I found interesting was they said it will predict ovulation. And I'm thinking, as a Catholic man whose wife had these charts, binders of charts that we had a thermometer every day and all that NFP stuff, this is kind of interesting. Now, it remains to be seen how accurate it is, because accuracy they position as, helping you become pregnant, whereas avoiding pregnancy needs a lot more accuracy, that sort of thing. So I don't know how accurate is, but what did you think of this particularly?
I wonder how long it's going to be before Couple to Couple League has an app that will use it for helping with the charting. But again, you're right, though, the issue of how accurate is skin temperature readings versus, reading from the skin or outside the skin versus the traditional,
the basal body temperature,
or something like that,
Yeah.
And that could be, that could make or break it. I can't say make or break it, but that could be, whether you have to use it with caution when you are trying to track for those kind of things, or other health issues, health issues where you have to watch your
temperature.
body temperature for whatever reason.
Yep.
As someone who had those charts and had those thermometers, this would have been wonderful. Because, and I'm sorry, boys, I'm going to go into a little bit of TMI here. As someone who was not regular, who couldn't predict it if I threw a bomb at it, this would have helped. And, because you can't, when a woman is predictable, it's a little bit easier. When you're not, it's almost impossible. And that's one of the reasons I didn't get pregnant, because we just could not predict it and had bad luck all the time.
Right. That was the thing with my wife had trouble, because we took us 4 kids before we kind of figured out how to do it. And we charted the whole time and all that sort of stuff, but it was not as easy as sometimes some NFP instructors made it sound. And because some women, just like you said, just don't have the predictable rhythms, the body temperature things. And, even when you have a kid who's a baby and you're, waking you up and, you're supposed to only take your temperature at a certain time after so much sleep. And it was and if it's not right, then you have to do the math. And you're like, I just woke up. I've got 3 hours sleep and you're making me do math. I can't.
Yeah.
Oh, or try calling your husband and saying, now.
Yeah, right.
I think this might be it. And that's a real mood killer.
Right. Exactly.
So, I gotta, but we joke about this now, but this is for a lot of women and couples a great thing. And I think it's going to be something that's going to sell this watch and probably, and along with the phone, because it's easier to watch this kind of thing on the phone.
Right.
For somebody older now, like myself, this temperature sensor, because of COVID, might be something that will come into play. It's not going to be accurate because they're going to say it's not meant for anything else, but just seeing a chart.
Seeing trends, that's the big thing.
Seeing a trend, that's going to be great.
Yep. That's and that's there's a moral component to this, which to help people who don't, for people who don't want to be on the pill, for example, because of the moral issue, from as a Catholic perspective, everything that we can find that helps us do this. We had we had a tracking app that we use, where she entered the data in the phone, and that way I could see it. I could have it on my phone too, and I'm not constantly asking her, how's it going, hinting at it. Look, we just stopped asking me. Okay, so obviously not now, and it's having this more information is better. One of the things they mentioned is that the data is encrypted on device. So Apple can't give it to anyone. No one has access to it unless you give it to them. And that's a response to some misinformation about how new pro-life laws in various states could use the information from cycle tracking apps to prosecute women who've had abortions, which is not at all true. Yeah, it was.
That's ludicrous.
Yeah, but hey. More privacy is better. I agree, at least with that. So I'm okay with the encryption end to end, which is really good.
Now, coming off of the cycle tracking, but just the temperature sensor itself, I could see this also. I don't know if I didn't get the chance to watch. I had a meeting, unfortunately, when the conference was going on, but I watched some of the videos.
Yep.
And looked at some of not the videos, but the articles, and I could see this too being something where, if your body temperature starts getting too high, that it can alert you and say you need to get into shade and get some water now.
Yes.
And try to reduce your risk of heat stroke and things like that.
Right.
Heat exhaustion, heat stroke, because it'll say, okay, you're hitting this danger point. You need to go in and get a nice cold glass of water or something and kind of sit for 15, 20 minutes and let yourself cool down and then go back out.
Or find a shady tree.
Or a shady tree or They jump in a lake.
They did say, yeah, right. They did say that there are 2 temperature sensors. There's one that will be on your skin, so on the bottom against your skin, and one on the other side of the watch to get ambient temperature. That way it's compensating for the atmospheric temperature that makes the body temperature more accurate. That's what they said. So
cool.
It's really, or not.
Well, isn't that the way these handheld ones work sort of too?
Yes.
Where,
I think
you're putting up against your head and it's reading your head and the room at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It's essentially,
I think so.
Yeah.
The same thing. Yep. So another new feature was automobile crash detection. So they've had fall detection. They had like bicycle crash detection, but they added last time. This one is automobile crash detection. And, I love how when they talk about how this feature works, they have all these like accelerometers and barometers and, scanners and tricorders and, all this stuff, and it's like, okay, well, I believe you that it works. But it basically, it even has, like I said, a barometer so that if an airbag activates, it creates an atmospheric change within the vehicle compartment. And that adds to, all of the data it's collecting from the accelerometer and all these other things, which I thought was really, really cool. It only activates when you're driving. Although I don't know if that's when it detects you going above a certain speed, or if it's in like driving focus mode. I'd want to find out more about that.
Yeah, I didn't care at that point. I was looking at my budget to see if I could afford this.
Yes.
Well, because I'm a woman who drives all the time.
Yeah.
I drive 45 minutes one way to work, 3 to 4 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always on the road at night. This is valuable to me.
Yeah.
This is worth the money right there.
Right.
Actually, it's funny. I just found out that Android has the same feature, and it's like, okay, I'm turning this on now because I'm also, of course, I'm driving rural roads and stuff like that. So I didn't realize that was a feature. I'm getting that put on when we're done here. So so I'm glad to see Apple add this because it is, of course, there's been things like OnStar and stuff like that have had these features, but now to have it in every phone that's sitting in your car, that's an amazing thing.
Right. Well, that's the other thing is it's not just on the watch. It'll be on the phone as well. We'll talk about that in a bit. And because it's on you and not part of the car, it's active in any car that you're in. You know what I mean? Right. It's not dependent on you being in your car that has OnStar. So that's a big difference.
So did OnStar's stock go down?
Probably. Well, I think OnStar isn't it owned by GM or something?
It is. It is a part of GM. That's why you only see it in GM cars. I mean, you can buy. You used to be able to buy aftermarket kits, but I don't even think you can anymore.
I don't think you even see it as much anymore because I think cell phones have kind of killed the OnStar market a bit. So
and auto manufacturers. I know this is going to a whole nother subject, but auto manufacturers have moved on to the the built-in cellular services and things like that. So that becomes a part of that, anyways.
So the third big feature is the low power mode. So normally they claim an 18-hour battery life on the watch, which if I could get 18 hours on my Series 4, I would love it.
Me too.
Stay tuned, spoiler alert. But they have this new low power mode that can give 36-hour battery life, which, for someone who goes camping with scouts would be really handy. And the way it does it is it turns off the always on watch face. So, with the watch, there's something that's always there to look at if you glance down. So it turns that off, and it turns off workout detection. And those two changes double the battery life, which makes me think maybe I don't want that on at all.
They probably added a third to the battery life just by turning off the display.
Yeah.
I mean,
I've started to turn off my display because I have a Series 5 and it's starting to not make it through the day at all.
Right.
So,
well, and the nice thing is this feature is going to be on all watches from Series 4 and up. So this will make your watch last longer, which will be great. My wife will be happy. Her watch has been dying like around 8 o'clock every night. So the price on these starts at $399 for the GPS only, and the $499 for the ones that have cellular built in. And they're available today, and they'll start shipping them on September 16th. So that's the regular Apple Watch. They also talked a little bit about the Apple Watch SE. Not a lot there. It's basically the same, some of the same upgrades like crash detection. It's a little cheaper. It's starting at $249. It's really aimed at people who don't want to pay more, or for kids for folks who want to get their kids a watch so you can track them, that sort of thing. Okay, let's talk about Apple Watch Ultra.
And I thought of you immediately, Dom. Immediately, because I said, this is the watch for camping.
Yes.
I don't know if this is, I don't know if, for the music you need to have, the angels singing as you say the word ultra.
True.
Or hear the majestic boom, 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 boom.
I need some Aaron Copland music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes. Or the Olympic theme. Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, this thing, so it's a titanium case, not aluminum or stainless steel, titanium. It's bigger, 49 millimeters compared to the 44 of the larger of the regular watches. It has an additional button they call the action button, which is customizable. You use it to do any kind of function you want to program it to. It's all the buttons are designed to be used while you're wearing gloves, and I'm thinking this is something that they all should have, because most of us live in places where we wear gloves part of the year. All you San Francisco Apple Watch engineers.
Yeah, really. Think about that.
They've added an additional speaker so that you can hear it in outdoorsy conditions, weather. All models are cellular, so they all have a phone service built in. It gets 36 hours of battery life, so twice as much in the regular mode, up to 60 hours on low power mode. There's a new Wayfinder face, and a night mode, on and on. So there's a bunch of different things. There's a cool waypoint backtracking feature where you can have it automatically trace your steps, like trace your route, so you can retrace your path out of the wilderness. I mean, just wild. Dive computer, on the watch. And I'm looking at this going, this is the sort of thing like Navy SEALs could use. Like Navy SEALs famously have Rolex Submariner watches, which are super awesome. But something like this, maybe I could imagine some special operators giving it a try at least. And for $800. Now you said, oh, this is, great for camping. This is over the top. This is for people who do some serious. I mean, it'll be on a lot of guys sitting at Starbucks who own a Jeep out in the parking lot that's never been off road. But this is intended for serious outdoorsmen.
This is intended for people who will come out here where I live and go into the backwoods about 20 miles and spend a week.
Right.
That's what this is intended for.
But like you said, Dom, there are some features on this thing, like the raised button. Yeah, the action button. And if you look at it in comparison with the 8, you'll see that it's a little bit more rounded than oblong.
Yeah.
So I could see in another series or two them adopting this size, this
form factor
configuration. Yeah.
Yeah. I love the idea. It's $800, so it's like twice or more. It's twice as expensive as the Series 8. It's really not at all in my budget at all. But I love the idea, and I would love to have something like this. And some of these, if they could get some of these features into the more normally priced watch, that would be awesome.
Wait, there'll be another category next year.
Yeah, right.
It'll be like a hybrid. But no. I think it's $799. That's a really good value.
Oh,
Excuse me. Because the Garmin watches are around that price.
Yes.
They're going after Garmin.
They are.
Oh, absolutely,
is
they are.
what they're doing.
Yep.
So, and as someone whose husband has a Garmin for golfing, and I keep telling him to get an Apple Watch because it'll be better.
Yes.
That's what they're going after. And I don't think it's a bad price at all.
I saw people predicting $1,000, $1,200 on this, and that would not have surprised me. The 800 actually surprised me. That's pretty good.
Reasonable.
Actually, I would be interested to see when it does come out and people can get their hands on it and start playing with it, how it compares with some of the high-end Garmin watches, because some of those high-end Garmin watches are incredible. What they can do again, and they're designed for people who are going out in backcountry, forget cell signal. You're lucky if you get a satellite signal,
right.
Out to some of these places,
right. Yep.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler
more to come
alert.
on that.
I know.
So those are the watches. Very interesting. I I would say of all the things that they announced today, the Ultra was the most interesting thing I saw. Like just a bit out of left field. So they also had new Apple AirPods. I wasn't blown away. It looked like incremental improvements at the same price. You know, nothing astonishing to me. Did anything stand out to either of you?
Because I've gone to Beats instead of AirPods, you know, the only thing I would like is the noise cancellation. And the Spatial. The Spatial could be good for certain things.
Spatial is cool. I got to say that having Spatial. Now they talked about it now has personalized spatial audio where I think it uses the phone to kind of to set it in space, like to personalize it to your hearing. Maybe I think it was. The
next step will be hearing aids.
Yeah, well, especially
I'm telling you, if they can do that.
Now that hearing aids can be sold over the counter, I wouldn't be surprised. The FDA,
FCC.
Well, no, it was the FDA recently said
FDA
made non-prescription hearing aids. So that's in October. So the improved noise cancellation, which blocks twice as much noise, I like, but it's also got the adaptive transparency where it keeps some noises out, like say jackhammers, but will let more noise in, like people talking to you. So I thought that was kind of interesting. It will charge on an Apple Watch charging puck, which I think is really great. That's one less thing to carry around.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, but other than that, you know, just the same. That's pretty much the same AirPods. So then we have the phones, the iPhone 14, 14 Plus, 14 Pro, and 14 Pro, not Plus, but Max, because I don't know. So we have...
Because they could.
Yes. So we have 4 models of phone. The 14 Plus is the same size as the Pro Max. So what we've got now is a 6.1-inch phone and a 6.7-inch phone in the regular and Pro. And then they're mostly... The big differences are the chip inside and the what the camera can do, the camera system. There's some other little things, including the pill, which we'll talk about in a bit. But first, let's talk about the kind of the marquee features, this satellite emergency SOS mode.
Yes.
That seemed impressive to me.
Well, it's interesting. We just talked about, or there was an article about T-Mobile is working on with this with Starlink. And I heard you guys, was it last week? You guys talked about that.
Yep.
You know, and then all of a sudden Apple comes out, oh, by the way, we're doing it. Now, they haven't said, as far as I could find any articles, how they're doing the satellite, as far as like what company they're going through, for example. No. So I would assume that there's some satellite provider out there, some obviously, that Apple is working for.
Right.
But the problem with it, looking at the articles, you get your first 2 years free.
Yes.
But then you have to pay for it. Whereas the T-Mobile plan is, as long as you've got your T-Mobile subscription, it's not an added cost.
Right.
T-Mobile is just like the Pandora's box of extras. Okay. Yeah. And I don't want to go down too far down that field, but you know, when you're getting YouTube TV $10 off a month, when you're getting Apple TV Plus free for a year, when you're getting MLB free, when you could get AAA, they are, I don't know how they're doing it, but they're building all of these things in. So it would behoove people to get T-Mobile service if you're going to get this type of a phone, because you'll probably get it for free.
Yeah, it's you know, and I know you guys talk. I don't want to rehash everything you guys talked about last week, but it's like this is a type of service that somewhere out here, someone that like me would absolutely want.
Your name came up.
I listened to the episode. I was kind of wondering what you guys had to say. You know, and it's something I am thinking about moving to T-Mobile over. If I can use the spoiler for my pick of the week, Pixel 7, that's going to be coming out, and use it with T-Mobile and have the access to the Starlink satellites. That's something that would convince me to change. And so I could see someone saying, well, I really wasn't thinking about getting, the 14 or whatever, but wait a minute, I live in, a place like Montana where having this feature through Apple would be a huge benefit.
Right. Let's talk about what this actually is too, because they were very clear to not oversell it. So what it is it's text only. Okay. It's not a voice system. You have to be outdoors with a clear view of the sky. That's the very important, because in order to get a satellite signal all the way up into orbit, where these communication satellites are, usually you need this antenna, and it's a big phone, it's all this stuff. This is just a regular phone. So the way it works is it makes you point the phone at a very specific part of the sky to help you, focus it on that satellite. And then it uses shortened messages with a custom algorithm, and will actually ask you questions first. It'll quiz you about what the emergency is, so that it can get a very compressed message back and forth. And then if the emergency services in your area, where you are, you can accept texts, it will send a text. But if they only take voice calls, Apple has relay centers where an employee will pick up the phone and call on your behalf. So I thought that was very interesting.
It isn't satellite phone, which is what they wanted to make the distinction, but something that is for emergency use. And again, as long as you have a clear picture of the sky, you're fine. Around where Dom and I live, there's so much clutter between forest and trees and buildings that it would probably not work as well. But go to New Hampshire, go to Maine, go to Montana, and this is going to be a lifesaver for somebody. They'll be doing commercials on this one next year.
Right. Talking about what people were saved by it. Right. You'll probably have to get up high so you can see the horizon, that sort of thing. I noticed they showed everyone using it was in a high place with a clear, to shot to the horizon.
Well, and that'll be one of those things that'll be interesting to see once it actually gets out in the field. If you are, let's say, in a forested area, but you can find a little meadow or a little, open clearing to stand in, will that be sufficient? Does it have to go straight up? Does it have to go at a 90-degree or 30-degree angle?
They
stuff like that.
If there's light vegetation, it will still go through, just slower. So
And I'd be interesting to see what the messages will look like too. Will it say, this person is trapped at these GPS coordinates, they are injured,
Right. They showed a little bit on screen, but
that it's prepackaged. So it's a person in an emergency. They're not that hurt, or they're hurt. They're very hurt. So it's short things that are already programmed rather than try to type your own.
But it does give the GPS coordinates. And
that's the biggest one, because I could also see it being something like, no, I'm just lost.
Yeah,
I went backpacking and I got turned around and I don't know where I'm at.
That's New Hampshire mountains, folks.
Yes,
and that's Montana mountains. So I mean,
every Monday there's a story in the local papers about hikers who had to get rescued, who went ill prepared into the mountains.
And it's a good thing too that it doesn't let you just send a regular text. It doesn't just let you, because I could see this getting abused by someone saying, oh, darn, I ran out of beer.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
send the sled dogs. The other thing is you can also use it with Find My to send your location to your contacts in Find My Friends feature. So, which is really kind of a neat idea. So, you're out, you have someone, a loved one who's out on the Appalachian Trail, say, you can keep track of where they are every day and that sort of stuff. So that's really nice. Other than that, there's some new colors, slightly better phone. There's a couple new video modes. There's a video action mode and a video stabilization mode. I kind of like the stabilization mode that they mentioned, because it lets you, It basically replaces a gimbal. It's like a Steadicam, all in camera. So, you don't have to have an extra device. They showed someone in a dune buggy taking a video, and it's like, wow, the thing is bouncing up and down. But when they show the video, it's very steady because it crops it in and that sort of stuff. But that was really cool. Yeah,
they started that last year with the 13 Pro.
Yes.
And I've noticed that with the 13 Pro that my hands, I have normally kind of little shaky hands, and I've noticed since I've been taking video with it, it's been a lot cleaner.
Yeah, it's really nice. By the way, I think we did mention that the emergency satellite thing was 2 years for free. They didn't tell us what it would cost after that, notably, and it starts in November. Okay, so the Pro... one of the new things is the new Dynamic Island. Welcome to Dynamic Island.
Ooh, is that anything like Fantasy Island?
Wait for tattoo.
To plane.
So
this the pill?
Yes, the pill replaces the notch. They've replaced the notch with the pill, which means it's smaller. And they've decided to I got to give a little credit. They decided to say, look, let's embrace this and do something with it. And what they've done is it's a fun way to show notifications and alerts that incorporates it so that this little black spot becomes part of something, interactive and dynamic on the screen. I like that they showed things like having interactive alerts and actions. Like you can have the live sports score for your, like the ball game up there at all times, or when the phone rings and it pops up there instead of down at the bottom, and you can interact with it in different ways. And so, I'm not going to buy a phone to get that, but it's kind of a nice thing if I'm getting a new phone.
Yeah, it's how notifications can be annoying.
Yeah.
They're trying to make it less annoying and
right.
a little bit more whimsical. And okay, I get that. But I'm just dying to see what else, will it become as annoying as the regular notifications?
Yes.
And I have to admit, I've said this when they first brought out the notches. I really wasn't a fan of it, and I haven't warmed up to it. So I think, the Android kind of said no. They tried the notch once and kind of went, nah. And I think Apple's kind of saying, yeah, it really actually doesn't look that good.
Yeah. Well, Samsung has the punch, right? Yes, the whole, yeah. So, yeah, that's the thing is they have these sensors. They want to have the screen go all the way to the edge, but they have these sensors they got to fit in somewhere. And,
Apple bezels aren't that bad. They don't look that bad. They really don't. They make it easier sometimes.
They
embrace the bezel.
Sometimes. The other thing is they mentioned it always on display, so that the screen, like with the watch, low res, so that you can always, like, I have my phone on my desk right now and I'm looking at it. It's just a big black nothing. If I tap it, it pops up and I see the time and the date and maybe a notification or something like that.
They're too concerned with people who are going on dates, and they don't want the other one to notice that they're looking at their watch or they're looking at their phone. Like, how the heck, when can I get out of here?
Right.
So,
or in meetings. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
I will say it is a nice feature to have the always on. Like, I can look at my phone right now and it will show me what time it is, but that's all it's showing me.
Yeah. Yeah, the new notifications widgets in iOS 16, I think they had this feature in mind for that, so that these widgets can have little bits of data at all times for you. I could see it be. It's not a I'm gonna go run out and buy this phone to get this feature kind of feature, but it's a nice to have. The fact is there isn't a whole lot to these new phones this year, and so it's one of the features. I expect next year to have they're probably gonna have a redesign and some new features. Next year, bigger upgrade.
But I suspect 16 is going to take advantage, even for those of us who have, 12s or 13s, of a lot of that, those new features, so that we can, to be able to customize that screen. I can't wait. I didn't put the beta on the phone. I put the beta on the iPad, and my tale of woe, half woe for this week is, boy, has it been buggy.
Yeah.
The beta on iOS, on iPad OS, has been the buggiest I've seen.
It makes me feel better, because I didn't do any betas this year, and I usually do the iPad one. I didn't.
It locked up my screen at one point. I couldn't go anywhere. I had to put the accessibility on so I could actually tap my screen at one point. Yeah, it was a little bit buggy, but it seems to have smoothed itself out in the last week. So I'm happy for that.
Well, and that's the last thing that I don't think it got mentioned in the keynote, but it came out at around the same time, is that iOS 16 will be out on the 12th. Yes. iPad OS 16 is delayed about a month into October. So
good idea.
Yeah. Get the bugs fixed. But the looking at these phones, if anyone who has an 11 or a 12, it's a pretty good upgrade. And that's the important thing to think of, to remember. A lot of these pundits that you listen to on these podcasts or on these tech websites, they buy the new phone every year. In fact, they probably buy half a dozen different phones, Android and iOS phones, every year. The regular folk like us, we wait. We keep our phones for, minimum 2 years, probably 3 or 4 years. And so these new phones are a decent upgrade for anyone who's got a phone that's like a 12 or an 11 or a 10.
And that's my other tale of woe, because when I was, the pundits were saying, and the prices are probably going to go up this year, I went out and bought a 13 before I figured the prices would rise, and boom, they didn't, and I should have waited and I would have gotten a 14.
Well, if it's been in the last 2 weeks, you can take it back, but
No, I bought it in July.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing is even if the 14s are higher priced, they always keep the last year's phone at a lower price. So you wouldn't go bad. You could say, I'll just go get the 13 anyway, that sort of thing to wait.
But it's only in the regular. I have a 13 Pro.
Oh, okay, yeah. They don't
so
keep
they
the pros.
only keep the regulars.
Yeah.
They don't, the pros go. And that's one of the reasons why I did it. So that's why I'm feeling like, I haven't done that in a long time. And I'm like, yeah, I just got whatever.
There might be a trade. Like they said they're taking big trade-in values. So.
Unless it goes up. Right now, my phone's only worth $600.
I saw someone saying that they were getting like really close on a phone they didn't get too long ago. I would check it out. I'm just saying.
I will check it out.
Go check it out, because you can, for a fairly new phone, you could probably get a pretty good trade-in value.
Now, one thing with iPad OS with 16, my 6-7-year-old iPad Air 2 is no longer supported.
Yeah,
so,
might be time.
Long run. I don't know. There still was that putting Linux on an iPad, and iPad Air 2 was one of the devices. So
there you go.
That's interesting.
Please get that working so I can use that instead.
But
so I don't spend the money on a new iPad Pro.
6 to 7 years is a good run for an iPad, for any device like that. And iPads are long-lived devices.
They are.
Yeah.
They are. I have an original iPad Pro 10.5.
Yeah.
It's still going. The battery's what's killing it, but it's still going.
Right. Yeah. Yep. So the final question is, you going to buy anything? Anything that came out today? Probably not you, Father Cory, but
no.
Joanne?
If I can spring for the watch, because I have a Series 5, I was waiting to see what they were going to do. It's the crash detection that got my attention.
Yeah.
Right away. And since I can't get it on the phone, I better get it on the watch.
Yeah, I've already ordered my watch, and
Ooh.
No, today I ordered it today, the Series 8, and I didn't get the Ultra. That is way beyond my means and needs. But I got it as a Series 8, and I'm looking forward to. Actually, the low power mode is really. I'm very interested in to see. Hopefully that gets here before I have a scout camping trip next weekend. So it might get here the day we leave. So hopefully I can get it set up in time. That would be nice. Man. And the cycle tracking for me, because I'm just kidding. Sorry, that was in bad taste. And as far as phones, I had steeled myself against the reality distortion field, and the temptation is there a little bit, but I'm not going to get a new phone this year. I'm definitely going to wait.
No, it's like I said, for me, crash detection is big.
Yeah.
So, and I don't have the pulse oximeter on mine either. So, I mean, I think I'm due for an upgrade. Cool. But I also looked into, how much this one is for trade-in, and I'm like, I may as well keep it as a spare.
Right. I was thinking of giving mine to my daughter, because she's been looking for a watch.
It would be a smart thing. They're not giving much.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create the Secrets of Technology, including Kelly M, Chow N, CMF, Elaine K, and Jean C. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue the Secrets of Technology and all the shows at StarQuest. And you can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. This is Dom Bettinelli, CEO of StarQuest. I need to ask for your help. But first, I want to thank you for listening to StarQuest and supporting our mission of exploring the intersection of faith and pop culture. In order to continue that mission and create more new shows, we need to bring on more audio editors, video editors, and production equipment. If you value this show, we need to hear from you now. If you're not yet one of our monthly patrons, please become one. And if you're already a patron, please consider increasing your monthly donation. There are many special patron benefits we'd like to give you, and you can learn about them by going to sqpn.com/give and clicking Become a Patron. Please go to sqpn.com/give today. So our first headline this week is about a man who built his own internet service provider instead of paying Comcast $50,000 to connect his home. So this guy, Jared Mouch, I think it's how you say it, up in outside of Ann Arbor, Michigan, lives in a rural area, and he works for Akamai Technologies as a network engineer. So he needs high-speed internet connection for work. And when he contacted Comcast, they said, we'll do it, but you'll have to pay us $50,000 to connect you. And he was like, he has since said, I would have paid 10 grand. That would have been worth it from my work and I'd have to move. So what he did instead was he started his own internet service company and started connecting homes of himself and his neighbors to the internet via fiber optic line. And now has gotten a grant through the Coronavirus State and Local Federal Fiscal Recovery Funds Act for the American Rescue Plan, basically millions of dollars to set up a large for his area, rural broadband network that'll connect almost 500 homes. He's charging $55 a month for 100 megabits per second with unlimited data, $79 for up to gigabits per second. And he's doing things like giving to church $250 up and down for free and that sort of thing. So what do y'all think of this? I kind of love it.
I loved it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I really did. It's called, when you can't get the company to do something, we'll just do it ourselves. It's good old American ingenuity.
Small business bootstrapping.
Well, and this is what the internet was supposed to be about anyways, is you weren't supposed to be tied up with Comcast or AT&T or Verizon or any of these other super mega gigacorps. Supposed to be able to set up his own little thing. Because, those of us who, in the early 90s when commercial internet started to become available, we didn't have, unless you had like AOL, I had some little local dial-up internet service provider. Some guy that was, they might have had, 500 customers in the, St. Louis Metro East.
Right.
And it was great. It worked great.
Yeah. My first, in the Boston area, my first internet provider was a TAC. It was an acronym for the Internet Access Company, it was all these little providers. They all got gobbled up and shut down by the big megacorps. And, that's the problem is when a megacorp says, you're out of luck, whereas this guy he had the wherewithal he had the knowledge to get this started, and he had some kind of backing and, some ingenuity to get it done.
Yeah, but what he's going through, air conditioning to blow the fiber and make it cool, and oh, geez. He's really having some fun. But as far as price point too, he's doing a gigabit. He's doing one
gigabit for $79.
For $79, which is what Fios is doing right now.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, it's competitive, and he's given people, and he's given. It's not just that it's competitive; it's that he's the local guy. He's their neighbor. They can if they have a problem, they can call and talk to him. If you have a problem with Comcast or Verizon or one of these other big companies, you're lucky to talk to someone who's going to help you. It's just it's nice to see small business making a difference. I'd love to see more of this, frankly.
Well, and this is kind of an answer too, that a lot of communities are trying to get their own community internet services.
Yeah.
And of course, immediately Comcast and AT&T and all these immediately come in and sue, even though they're not willing to put good internet services into these communities.
Right.
And so you get a little town, let's say like here in Cascade, if they tried to put in their, Cascade internet service, the companies be knocking on the door with legal.
Right.
Suits and stuff like that. And this is maybe a good answer. And maybe some of those places that were trying to get fiber put in that couldn't because Comcast was snowballing them or Verizon would just tell them to go pound sand. Well, it's like, okay, fine. So now a little company comes in and wires up the whole town. And guess what? We don't need you anymore.
Yeah. Maybe, a little teach them a little lesson about that, about service. Yeah, I live suburb of Boston, and the next town over, the city of Braintree, they have their own light department, and the light department provides internet service to everyone in town. That is part of their service. There's a couple of towns in this area that where they have their own light department, their own electricity, local electricity company.
Taunton has one.
Yep.
Where I work, the city of Taunton has their own. Middleborough has their own.
Yeah, it's kind of, it's nice because then it's like, again, it's a local company with people, who live in your town. When you have a problem, they're there for you. So it's nice to see that. I encourage folks to check it out. So our next headline is, have you had any amusing Ring videos on your doorbell? Well, there's a new TV show hosted by Wanda Sykes called Ring Nation, and it's a syndicated viral video show that will feature Ring doorbell videos. So videos from your Ring cameras. And it's like a lot of these clip shows, that kind of, the descendants of Funniest Home Videos. And they'll have, frankly, there's not going to be anything that you haven't seen a million times on YouTube and these clip compilations, but it's going to be on TV. Some people are kind of like, see, this is the problem with video doorbells. There's no privacy. Amazon is using your videos. I don't think that's what's going on. I think it's just, you have to submit your video or you post it online. What do you think?
I'm wondering if the Ring app is going to have a button on every video, submit for Ring Nation or whatever.
Look, I get enough of these from my neighbors all the time. Look, this guy is looking in my car and he's walking around my car at 2:00 in the morning. I don't care.
Yeah.
That's my answer. I don't care.
Right. Yeah. The neighbors app has those and people get all freaked out about people. It's people get their stuff broken into, but, tell the police, don't put, if you have a problem. Yeah.
I have a Ring video doorbell and I have a Wise Cam outside in my backyard. Okay. They're there for a specific reason, to see who's at my door and to make sure the coyote isn't going through my yard when I take my dog out.
Right.
So, that's what I use it for. Anything else?
Yeah.
Not appealing.
Right. A lot of the times the video is not good enough to get you, information about, identifying the identifiable video of someone by your car or a license plate on the street. It's just not it doesn't have that kind of resolution. And I don't know when that will be out or, where. I think it's syndicated. So, you'll have to look at your local listings. Our third headline comes from Ars Technica, and it says Lenovo is announced consumer AR glasses. And as they note, it can tether to iPhones. I'm not sure why they point that out, but yes, iPhones, Android, Mac OS, Windows, and I think there's also Linux they mentioned. And their AR glasses, they announced them, but as the article points out, they're okay. They don't have much functionality as of yet. There's no pricing. There's a lot that remains to be seen about it, but they're on the market. And that's more than a lot of people can say. But what do you think of this?
Well, one thing they point out is they have to connect via USB-C. So they have to physically connect to your phone. Yeah. It's not wireless. There's no Bluetooth or anything like that. I get the feeling this is half proof of concept, half there are things where this would be usable, like saying in a production environment, a warehouse. Can you imagine a warehouse app using these where as you look at things that are on the shelves, it shows whoever's the employee what they're looking at, how many of these are needed, et cetera, just all right there. So they don't have to look at a piece of paper. It's just as they scan the shelves, oh, I need this.
Yes. Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, that would be useful.
Yeah, and I think this is just a preemptive strike because they thought Apple might be putting out their version, so they wanted to get to the table first.
Right.
I don't know how I feel about AI glasses. Google Glass and all of that. I'm not so sure. But if you have to tether these to your phone and you need a USB, guess what? We're still using Lightning on 14.
Well, it's USB-C on the Lenovo end, Lightning on the other end, but that sort of thing. But yeah, but it's still it's a cable attaching your glasses to your phone, and that's a no fly for a lot of people, I think. They did say that it's going to be they're aiming under $500, which is that's a pretty decent price for something like that. And they expect it to be available in select markets, quote unquote, in 2023, which means that it's not going to be generally available probably until at best late next year. So this is a very, very pre-announcement for something that's almost vaporware at this point. But yeah, it's probably a preemptive strike against, on Apple's, hey, we're in this too, until Apple comes up with theirs, which is a lot of the rumors are January. We're expecting to see those. So I have one last story. This is an extra story. This is actually a little self-serving because the headline is the MBTA will install digital interactive kiosks with real-time bus and train information across Boston. This is important to me because this is my brother's company is installing these.
Oh, okay.
Cool. Yeah, my brother was telling me that he's got this big contract with the MBTA to install these. They're like color e-ink displays that will be up at all the bus stations and in the subway stations, and it will have real-time information about departures and arrivals and delays and all that sort of thing. And he told me that a lot of the metros around the world are looking at this installation of Boston as a proof of concept. So you might see this in the tube in London or the metro in Paris or that sort of thing. So very interesting. Yeah.
Well, kudos for your brother, but all it's going to do is tell us that the MBTA isn't working as usual.
That's right. Yes. The orange line, which is one of the major, one of the four major lines in Boston, is down for a month. It's closed for a month. That's right. It's chaos in the city of Boston.
With all the college kids that use this constantly.
Yep. So just congrats to my brother for getting there. Maybe I'll have him on at some point to talk about it if he can.
That'd be cool.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be good. All right, so that does it for our headlines. Let's go right to our picks of the week. Joanne, you're up first. What is your pick this week?
Well, Jimmy Akin, close your ears because my pick this week is the Logitech MX mechanical keyboard. We had to get a new keyboard, as I told my Tales of Woe last time. Because my husband now has a Windows computer and I have a Mac. So we needed something that we could both use. And yes, this is a very pricey little instrument, but it is the feel of and it acts just like the keyboard of old, that nice clackety. You can feel it under your fingers. You don't go flying and hitting the wrong key. You can get it in either full size or mini if you really don't want the numeric keypad, but my husband's an accountant and he needs that.
Yeah.
You can get it in either. It lights up, so that's nice at this time of day as we're recording. And the good thing about it is you can use it either Bluetooth or with the dongle, and you can connect up to 3 different devices to it. So number 1 is the Mac, number 2 is the Windows. So when we use the keyboard, that's how I push number 1, he pushed number 2, and it connects immediately with no problem.
Nice.
It's got an on-off switch, and right now it came with 57% battery before we need to charge it, and I think it's only down to like 48.
And you've had it for how long?
We've had it for a couple weeks now.
Okay, so that's pretty good.
And we use it. So
yeah.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good battery life in and of itself. We're loving it because we really haven't found a keyboard. I mean, we started getting some of these really flat keyboards and we were like, this isn't good.
Yep.
But we saw this. It is pricey. It is $159. I bought it for $159.
Yeah.
And it settles about $169 for the big one, $149 for the smaller one.
But that's something that's constantly under your hands. It's your interface into your work.
Mm-hmm.
You get something that works, spend a little. Yeah.
And for Mac users, I got to tell you this, it took me about a day to configure the Mac sequences for different things. Cause you can program the F keys.
Right.
So it doesn't come knowing if you switch to the Mac part that those F keys do certain things. So I had to actually sit there and program it. And then it has the command. You have to really hit the left side of the Alt key to get command, because if you don't, it doesn't do anything.
Oh, that's
it's a little bit odd to get used to, but once you get used to it, you roll fine. But setup is a little. You have to go find the directions online and read them.
Okay. Yeah, Logitech sometimes they sell stuff for Macs, but they sometimes forget to, make it as easy to use as they should.
Well,
right.
And And that's interesting that they chose to make the Alt key the Command key, because usually it's the Windows key that is the Command key, and the Alt is the Option key.
Right. What they have is Control, and then they have the Windows key with Start, and then they have the Command key with Alt. That was an interesting combination, but I couldn't use the Command C either on my Mac. It had to be the Control key. It was the Command key, and I kept hitting it in the middle instead of hitting it off to the left side. I had to go find that and read it.
You have to touch. You have to hit the left side of the key.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of odd. That's a weird thing.
It is.
That is.
It's the only odd thing about it.
Huh.
But it confused. I almost brought it back because I was like, I can't use this.
Right. Interesting though. I mean, if someone's in the market for a keyboard that they want to use with a couple different computers, that would be, or an iPad, that would be another thing you could use.
Yes,
with too.
you can put it on iPad. I think you can put it on the iPhone as well.
Yeah. iPhone will do a Bluetooth keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Excellent. And to why you said Jimmy Aiken, close your ears. Jimmy, before one of our podcasts recently, Jimmy complained that our my clacky keyboard was too loud because I was typing while he was talking. I was like, I can't think when you're typing. So we figured out the problem was an audio issue. So it was amplifying the sound of it, but we fixed it. But that's funny. Father Cory, what is your pick of the week? And with a finger in the eye to all us Apple fans.
Yes, this is totally troll. This is totally completely trolling, because where all the Apple love we've given in this podcast, I'm going to talk about Android 13.
You're entitled
and
to
the upcoming Google's event on October 6th, which we'll talk about next month. Yep. Android 13 came out a couple of weeks ago, and I've had it actually for a couple of weeks. And honestly, it's one of those updates that it changes a few things, it adds some features, but it really isn't like, you must go out and make sure you get an Android phone with Android 13 if you already have like Android 12 on your phone. A lot of look and feel stuff. Kind of an interesting look and feel thing is on the little, when you swipe down to see your notifications, it'll show when you're playing something. And what it will do now is it'll show the album art, and the little progress indicator will sit there and be like a wave that will dance with the music a little bit, or kind of move with the music. So again, this is completely GUI, make it look nice. Yep. Which it does look good. I mean, actually, they did a good job with it. It works really well and looks good. There's some stuff on, like, for example, going with just look and feel, that the icons can now be made to match the background of your screen. And so there'll be like a 2-color icon instead of the full color icon, and it will match whatever the primary color is of your background. Okay. And it looks good. And now for third-party apps, they have to enable that. They have to, create the 2-color. But I've been noticing more and more apps are starting to come with that as they update it. So eventually they'll all have that, where you'll have kind of a monochrome buttons, monochrome app icons with your background. And that does look good when they do it. Yeah. One interesting feature is you can set up language per app. So if you have certain apps you want to use in one language, you can set that up. Versus other apps. So like, let's say you travel to Spain, and you've got, the Metro app for one of the Spanish cities. You can set that up so that's in Spanish, not English. Right. Things like that. Right. So that's kind of fun. And actually I could see being usable, in certain situations. Yep. They've got a bedtime mode that is really kind of cool. Yeah. You can set it up where it will go into black and white at a set time for bedtime. Huh. So instead of the full color, it'll go to the black and white, and then at a certain time it will switch back, because the black and white is easier on your eyes at night. Let's say you wake up in the middle of the night and you don't want to get wide awake because you're full light in your eyes. Yep. So there's a lot of that little stuff. There's a lot of some of the notifications for emergencies. Again, like I mentioned, I just found out that actually Android 12 had added the car crash detection. Yep. And so, like I said, after we're done here, I'm enabling it. Because you have to get into it. But they do have an emergency section that's got some of that kind of stuff, notification control, and so on. And they're starting to do things with their Chromebooks similar to what Apple does with macOS and iOS, where you can have your notifications go across. You can do not calling yet, and you can't do phone calling, right? but they're starting, copying content, multitasking between the two of them and stuff like that. So they're starting to do spatial audio they've added. So there's some of that stuff that Apple's had that Android is adding now. There's things that Android has had that Apple is adding now. And so they're kind of having that back and forth.
Yeah. The calling handoff is annoying anyway. You don't want that. It's
yeah, I don't want it either. I prefer not to use it.
Yeah.
But and I can do the messaging through messaging on web through Google, but that's something different. And then, as I said, in October 6th is Google's big event, which we'll talk about in a month. And totally not a shock, they're introducing phones, a watch, and earbuds.
Surprise!
Sound familiar?
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, so they're announcing the Pixel 7, the Pixel 7 Plus, or whatever they're calling it. I can't remember what Pixel 7 Pro. They're announcing a Pixel Watch, and then Pixel, the new generation of Pixel earbuds. Yep. So I'm kind of looking forward to that because I've had my phone. Mine's a Pixel 4 XL for 3 years now, and I usually go 3 years. So I want to see what the 7 is going to have that's going to be worth upgrading or not. Because I mean, the phone works fine. It's got a couple little scratches on the screen and stuff, but otherwise it's fine.
Yeah.
So we'll see if it's worth upgrading or not. So
cool. All right, so my pick of the week is another fun Mac app that actually I think this was just Mac only. The company Global Delight makes Mac and Windows software, but Capto is the app, and it's a screen recording, screen capture, video editing app, and it's really easy to use. It's really, there are other ones out there that have all these other features, and they're like all, video editing suites and all this other stuff, and it's high end. This is really great for doing really simple video capture. So a lot of times, like with the various people in our podcast, I need to say, hey, this is how you set up StreamYard on your computer. This is how you set up Audio Hijack to record a podcast. And so I'll record a screencast, and it records my screen, and I can narrate as I go along, and I can put like little arrows and dots on the screen to like, look at this, and I have an arrow that's pointing at the thing, or a circle around something. I could put text on there, and it does it all within this app, and then you can edit it really easily. It's a really nice app, and it is, let's see, to buy it, if you were to buy it, let's see, what was the price again? It's $18 for a single license, which is a pretty good price. And once again, if you subscribe to SetApp, like I say, people should, you get it for free as part of SetApp subscription. So it's another one of those things that is a good reason to get SetApp. So that's my pick.
Cool. Sounds awesome.
Yeah, I've used it for a bunch of different things, and it's been really good. So that's it from us. We would love to hear what you thought of any things we've talked about today. Hey, are you getting something that Apple announced today? We want to hear about it from you, and let us know what you're getting. So you can comment on the show at sqpn.com/technology, at the SQPN Facebook page, facebook.com/StarQuestMedia. You can send an email to technology@sqpn.com, or visit the StarQuest Discord community at sqpn.com/discord. And you'll find links from our discussion and our picks of the week in our show notes at sqpn.com. Remember to like each episode of the show wherever you find it on social media. It really helps us a lot when you like that, when you share it, when you leave us comments. We love to hear from you. We'd like to thank James for his research assistance in this episode. And until next time, Father Cory Sticha, thank you for joining me and sharing the secrets of technology.
Thank you, Dom.
Joanne Mercier, thank you as well.
Thanks, Dom.
And once again, I'm Dom Bettinelli. Thank you for listening to The Secrets of Technology on StarQuest. StarQuest wants to hear from you. We're conducting a survey of our audience. That's you, to help us in our planning for the future. Please take a moment and visit sqpn.com/survey. We'll be selecting 2 participants to receive an Amazon gift card as an expression of our thanks. So visit sqpn.com/survey today.